Questions and a discussion. And it's time for one of our let's just try that again. It's time for one of our favorite family-friendly events, bowling. We have Tri-Way Lanes rented for Sunday, November 10th from 6 to 8 p.m. Bowling and non-bowling Unitarian Universalists are both welcome. It's also a great time to hang out and chat and bring board games to play. Food and beverages can be purchased there, and donations are welcome. The bowling alley will supply bowling shoes and bowling balls. Please take a look at your order of service for more information regarding events and activities taking place at the UUFWC. And if you'd like to find out more about our activities, feel free to contact Karen Skubik, our membership coordinator.
Thank you, Peter, and good morning, everyone. It's good to see all of you, some faces we haven't seen in a while and some new faces, so it's always a delight to have everyone here that's present and with us and living this moment. But speaking of events, sometimes I come up here and I talk about events to get involved with, and thinking of this service where we honor those who we've lost in the last year. Other events that are also honor people are when we have memorial services. And right now we don't have a memorial task force. Of course, Reverend Walter meets closely with the families to provide a memorial service if someone died in their family that's meaningful to them, but there's a lot of support things that we could really use help with, like setting out refreshments and flowers and whatnot. So if anyone is interested in giving in that sort of way, please see me after the service. I'll be in the back. I can talk to anyone about that or anyone that's new here who has questions as well. It's good to see you all.
My turn. How's your heart, friends? Seriously, tired. Today's a very special service because today's the day we remember and lift up the lives of those we've lost over the past year. It is a day where we place light into the darkness. How many of you are feeling like there's a lot of darkness right now? And I use that term very, very intentionally. Normally, when we talk about darkness, we tend to talk about things that we feel are evil, and I want to reframe that a little bit. We talk about being in darkness. How many feel like this is the darkest time that we've been through right now? That this is the most important election ever? How many of you said that in 2020? How many of you said this was one of the darkest times we could have and we had to deal with the COVID lockdown? How about 2016 election? What about the 2007 financial crisis? What about when the Twin Towers came down? What about when we had to deal with the Challenger explosion? How many of you remember when King was assassinated? When JFK was assassinated? My friends, we are ones who live through dark times all the time. And we are still here. What we do today is we put a light out to remember the lives and the goodness in this world that we were given by those who we lost. And when we see all of those lights combined, we light the way for others moving forward. Each of us here has the capability going forward to continue to light the way out of the darkness. And the thing about the darkness is that it is where we change. It is the darkness of the night that brings forth a new day. It is the darkness and the pressure and the heat of the soil that cracks the seed to bring forth the powerful trees. It is the darkness of the womb in which life begins. Friends, this is a time of rebirth and change and even hope. Look at what we have accomplished. Look at all of the darkness we have come out of. Look at all we can do together. We have hope in the darkest of times. We have everything we need to make this world a better place. We have our values, we have our work, and we have each other. Bonnie said, a lot of us are nauseously optimistic. That's very accurate. And let me tell you why. There is a lot to be scared of. There's a lot of unknown. And we have faced unknown before. And we will get through it together. I just wanted to lift that up for you. And vote. If you haven't already, vote. And one last thing. This Wednesday at, is it 6 o'clock or 6:30? 7. Eventually I would find it. This Wednesday at 7, Sharon and I are having a special service for those who are anxious because the election results haven't come in yet. It's going to be a service of meditation, of singing, of sitting in silence, of resilience. All are welcome. It will be a place to hopefully breathe, put down your anxiety for just an hour. I hope you're able to attend. Friends, open your hearts to the spirit of worship. Put your cell phones into worship mode and join us now for our time together.
Our chalice lighting this morning is in memory of all the flames. In memory of all the flames that didn't die. In the midst of darkness, in spite of the darkness, we light this flame today. The light shines in the darkness, and the darkness did not overcome it. Let us now rise in body and spirit as we sing the opening hymn. The music can be found in the hymnal. It's number 1051. We are.
Sings to the universe who we morning. I'd like to invite any children or youth or anyone who would like to get closer to the story. Come on up. Good morning. Good morning. Here we go. All right. Good morning. Let's see. Sander, would you like to open the box today? The Wonder Box? You would not like to? Let me see if there's anyone else that hasn't had a turn lately. Anyone else like to open the Wonder Box? Would you like to, Zane? Okay, go ahead. You can open. Can you show them how? So there's a little latch there. There we are. Can you take out what's inside? What is that? It looks like a photograph of something. Can you tell what it is?
A dog.
It is. It's a photograph of a dog. Thank you. It's a photograph I picked up off my shelf this morning. This is a dog I used to have a long time ago. Her name was Sugar. And I brought it today because today we are thinking about people and sometimes pets that we have lost. Has anyone in here ever lost a person or a pet who's very special to you? Wow, look around out there. That looks like a feeling that a lot of us have experienced. So my story today is a little bit about that. All right, I'm going to be reading from a book today, and to the greater audience, I apologize I don't have this on the screens yet because that's something I haven't learned how to do yet, but it's on the list. Okay, I'm learning. But today I'll just be reading. This is called The 10th Good Thing About Barney. And I have to tell you, this book was recommended to me when my kids were even littler than you all. And I believe it was Laura Grimm that recommended it to me. I thought maybe I'd see her today, but I'll have to tell her that I still have this book. The 10th Good Thing About Barney by Judith Viorst. Oh boy, lots of. My cat Barney died last Friday. I was very sad. I cried and I didn't watch television. I cried and I didn't even eat my chicken dinner or even the chocolate pudding. I went to bed and I cried. My mother sat down on my bed and she gave me a hug. She said we would have a funeral for Barney in the morning. And she asked me to think of 10 good things about Barney so that I could talk about them at the funeral. I thought and I thought and I thought of good things about Barney. I thought of 9 good things, and then I fell asleep. In the morning, my mother wrapped Barney in a yellow scarf. My father buried Barney in the ground by a tree in the yard. Annie, my friend from next door, came over with flowers, and I told her good things about Barney. Barney was brave, I said, and smart and funny and clean, also cuddly and handsome, and he only ate a bird once. Not bad for a cat. It was sweet, I said, to hear him purr in my ear, and sometimes he slept on my belly and kept me warm. Those are all good things, said my mother, but I'm only counting 9. I said I would try to think of another one later. At the end of the funeral, we sang a song for Barney. We couldn't remember any cat songs, so we sang one about a pussy willow. And even my father knew the words. Then Annie and I went into the kitchen with Mother. She gave us orangeade and cookies, and she left the box on the table so we could have seconds. I gave my seconds to Annie. I miss Barney, I said. Annie and Barney were in heaven with lots of cats and angels drinking cream and eating cans of tuna, said Annie. That's what she believed. I said Barney was in the ground. Heaven, said Annie, heaven. So there. The ground, I told her. You don't know anything. My father came in from the yard and took a cookie. Big Mouth Annie said heaven again, and I said ground. Tell her who's right, I asked Father. She doesn't know anything. Maybe Barney's in heaven, my father began. Aha, said Annie, and stuck her tongue out at me. And maybe, said my father, Barney isn't. What did I tell you, I said, and yanked Annie's braid. Don't recommend either of those, but you know, frustrations. Father made me let go. We don't know much about heaven, he told Annie. We're not absolutely sure that it's there. But if it is there, said Annie in her absolutely sure voice, it's bound to have room for Barney and tuna and cream. Do you think? She finished another cookie and went back home. My father told me he had to work in the garden. I said I would help, but only a little. I told him I didn't like it that Barney was dead. He said, "Why should you like it? It's sad," he said. He told me that it might not feel as sad tomorrow. My father had a packet of little brown seeds, and he shook some out into his hand. "The ground will give them food and a place to live," he said, "and soon they'll grow a stem and some leaves and flowers." I squeezed the packet open and looked down at the bottom. I told him, "I don't see any leaves and flowers in here." "Things change in the ground," said my father. "In the ground, everything changes." "Will Barney change too?" I asked him. Do you think he will?
Yes. No.
"Yes," said my father, "he will change until he's a part of the ground and the garden." "And then, will he be able to help make flowers and leaves?" "He will," said my father. "He'll help grow the flowers, and he'll help grow that tree and some grass. You know," he said, "it's a pretty nice job for a cat to help nature grow." My father and I planted all of the seeds in the garden. Mother made sandwiches, and we ate them under the tree. And after lunch, we worked in the garden some more. At night, I still didn't want to watch any television. And when I turned out the light, my mother sat down on my bed. She gave me a hug, and I said I had something to tell her. "Listen," I said, and I told her the good things about Barney. How many did he figure out? Do you remember?
9.
9. We're still waiting for number 10, right? Let's see if he came up with it. "Barney was brave," I said. "Smart, funny, and clean. Cuddly, handsome, only ate a bird once. It was sweet to hear him purr in my ear, and sometimes he slept on my belly and kept it warm." "Those are all good things," said my mother, "but I'm still counting 9. "Yes," I said, "but now I have another." Anyone guess what number 9 is? Does anyone want to guess? What do you think? Number 10. Thank you for keeping me on track. I heard maybe that he will help grow flowers. Might be number 10.
11.
Okay. Barney is in the ground, and he's helping grow
15.
flowers. You think you could think of 15 things? You know, I said, it's a pretty nice job for a cat. So that was the story, the 10th good thing about Barney. What did you think about that story? You liked it?
It was good.
You liked it? Even though it was kind of sad, it had some good parts too? What do you
It
think?
was really sad and it was really interesting.
Sad and interesting. I'm glad you liked it. I know it's sad. Sometimes it's hard to like something that's sad, but we all have sad feelings, so it's good to talk about them. And in class today, we're going to be talking about a special Mexican tradition that helps people deal with those sad feelings when someone has passed. It's called Dia de los Muertos. Yeah, I said it in Spanish. I don't have a very good Spanish accent because I don't speak Spanish, but we're going to be learning about a celebration that is actually about joy. Can you be joyful and sad at the same time?
Yeah. Joy. Yes.
We're going to see about that today. All right, thank you. We will sing the children to classes now and the youth. Thank you.
Please join me now in the spirit of meditation and of prayer. Things change in the ground, the story told us. To think about what was good to be put into the ground, gone from us forever. The ground is where the seeds start. The ground is where we plant hope and expectation. And the memories of those we have lost are planted in the ground. And what we do, the seeds we plant with the love they have given us, is transformative. To allow their memories, their ideals, their life, their legacy to plant seeds in us, to allow ourselves to be changed for loving them. When we honor the memories of those we lost, we honor how they have changed our lives. We honor the lessons. We keep them alive. We allow them to feed the flowers of our heart. Each week, we celebrate our joys and sorrows in our community. I want to lift up a personal joy, and that is I got to see one of my colleagues ordained in ministry yesterday. That's always a good celebration. And I know that Dan O'Rourke has come home. He still needs a lot of care, but we're good to see the progress. For those of you who have sorrows coming into this day, and I expect there are quite a few, I encourage you to come and place those worries, those concerns, those fears on this stone, and please, for this hour, let them go. Know you are in a community of support that will hold you. And for those of you who have joy, we need you. Put that joy upon the stone. Let that feeling of love and lightness ripple throughout this community. We would love to share in that. If any of you would like to meet with me this week for pastoral care, come up to me, grab my hands, pat my shoulder, let me know you want to meet. We'll set up a time after service. But please, join me now in our Joys and Sorrows ritual as we sing Spirit of Life.
It's been said that faith without works is dead. As Unitarian Universalists, we believe in doing the work, no matter the source of your faith. The offering we're about to collect funds this work, both within our community and beyond these walls. All donations collected today that are not specifically marked otherwise will be split with the Immigrant Workers Project, IWP. IWP was founded in 1998 to address the needs of the farm worker and rural migrant communities in Ohio. Now join me in this unison reading the words around the screen. Let us be grateful when we are able to give, for many do not have that privilege. Let us be grateful for those who share their gifts with us, for we are enriched by their giving. Let us be grateful even for our needs, so that we may learn from the generosity of others. Our reading today is They Are Still With Us, I beg your pardon, They Are With Us Still, by Catherine McTeague. In the struggles we choose for ourselves, in the ways we move forward in our lives and bring our world forward with us, it is right to remember the names of those who gave us strength in this choice of living. It is right to name the power of hard lives well lived. We share a history with those lives. We belong to the same motion. They too were strengthened by what had gone before. They too were drawn on by the vision of what might come to be. Those who lived before us, who struggled for justice and suffered injustice before us, have not melted into the dust and have not disappeared. They are with us still. The lives they lived hold us steady. Their words remind us and call us back to ourselves. Their courage and love evoke our own. We, the living, carry them with us. We are their voices, their hands and their hearts. We take them with us, and with them, choose the deeper path of living.
For those of you unfamiliar, this is our annual All Souls ritual. This ritual is written by Ruth Sewell. Ruthie, how many years ago? That many years ago. 30. And it's a beautiful tradition. And it's a hard service for a lot of us, as it should be. We're going to read through our ritual. Afterwards, we will read the names of the individuals over the last year that were submitted by friends and members of the congregation who we lost over the last year. And then we will invite people to come and speak into the microphone, any other names that may have been missed, and something they're holding from that person. I ask that you keep it brief because we have a lot of folks who want to say something. And I'd also ask that you not form a line. I'd ask that you come up one at a time. And I'd ask that you sit and listen to the name and listen to the story, however brief it may be, to give that name and that person the solemnity of that moment. Yes, it will take longer. And yes, they are worth it.
I light this candle to signify the acceptance of life and death. Expressing and feeling grief, sadness, and regret lead to the acceptance of the cycle of life. We are a part of a never-ending cycle that we don't comprehend. We offer loving kindness for ourselves and for others. We flow with the cycles of life. We breathe, we be.
I light this candle of loss of future. By lighting it, I stand in sympathy with those who have lost a child. The loss of a small being leaves a huge void in our hearts. We question this loss at life's beginning. Why? And an answer doesn't come. We hold in our hearts the loving kindness that we had hoped to bestow on this new being, and know that love will find its way. And so we vow, love on.
I light this candle of the loss of dreams. My heart is saddened by the loss of potential. Good ideas are lost, projects may never be started, and taking chances won't happen. We grieve when we lose our dreams, and we grieve the loss of the dreamer. Keep your heart open and let new dreams come into your emptiness. We carry our dreams still.
I light this candle of loss of completion. We have committed ourselves to life and to the jobs we want to finish, and we want to be there for our children, to give them the understanding and support that we know they need. We undertake challenges and tasks that we feel will benefit our families, our friends, people we will never meet, our society. We ache when obstacles stop us from completion. And when we lose a leader, we miss the insight and hard work that they bring to the task. We miss the meaning that completion gives to living. In our loneliness, we commit.
I light this candle of the loss of hope. I grieve with you who have lost a loved one to hopelessness. Suicide is a dissociation with oneself and with those who love us. Despair darkens judgment, and desperation drives the desire for relief from pain, for an end. Hope has disappeared into a void. Suicide leaves friends and relatives with a sense of incompleteness and of failure. It leaves us sad and angry. It leaves enormous regret because it is often this special person who has enhanced our life with the essence of being. The same sensitivity which led to their death also was a magic that enriched their lives and ours. And so I call back hope to us. Hope never ends.
I'd light this candle of loss of reflection. I honor the loss of life when that person didn't have a chance to reflect on years gone by. The time never came to review the life they lived and to come into peace with themselves and others. And for myself, I grieve that I wasn't able to say goodbye to that person who passed without a thanks, a reconciliation, or a goodbye. I regret losing the chance for peace with others or myself when the chances were put off later, ignored, or denied. So I meditate with my memories and I wait for the morning light. I forgive you. I forgive me. I forgive us.
I light this candle for the loss of comfort. When we lose someone to death, there are so many things more than their presence that we lose. We lose the things that brought us comfort, their touch, their smell, their warmth, their listening. Sit quietly and feel their presence. We sit with you in your emptiness.
We are here for each other. I'd light this candle for the breathing of shared air. The sharing of air is an invisible intimacy. We are connected in space and time through shared air. Each breath connects us to our ancestors, for they breathed our very air. We breathe, we be. I would now like to read the names that were submitted, and then afterwards I will invite you to come up, light a candle for those you've lost, and to tell a brief sentence or two about what they mean to you. Bob Mag, Pat Orlando, Randy Turner, Nancy Anderson, Robert Skip Walters, Wanda Barnes, Floyd Mullet, David Goss, Jim Boyd, Robert Roger, Jack Armstrong, Carol Morrison, Jerry Armstrong, Spiro Matsos, Janet Madden, Thomas Wirtz, Lynn Myers, Norma Keller, Anne Marie Stanger, Darren Griffith, Ines Schwarzentrooper. Amanda Rich. Now, I will welcome anyone who wishes to come up to speak the name of someone they've lost and to light a candle for their memory.
I light this candle for Lynn Dilliard Molson, who was my Worcester mom and soul sister. She had such a social worker heart and loved everyone.
I light this candle for my mother-in-law, Janet Madden, my husband's mother, who was a mother to me in many ways, and always had this wonderful kitchen smells of her cooking.
I'd light this candle for my brother-in-law, Gary Pike, who was the in-law the longest, and he was a very sweet man.
You got it.
I light this candle for my uncle, Ernest Marr, and my cousin, Kenny Marr.
I light the candle for my grandmother, Josephine Gilbert, who I have 90% of my furniture from, and Lindsay's grandmother, Eleanor Walker, who we have our house from.
I light this candle for my grandfather, Henry Keller, who also passed away, along with my grandmother, Norma, this year.
light this candle for the love of my life, who was taken from me a year ago. But I know he's waiting for me.
This candle for a good friend of mine, Papa Bear. John and I worked on the Intertribal Council for a number of years. I really loved him and miss him dearly.
I light these candles for my youngest brother, David. I wish I had known him better. I wish I had shown him more love. And 2 other candles for our son-in-law, who lost his son accidentally very recently, and a baby granddaughter.
I light this candle in memory of my mom, Wanda Barnes.
I light this candle for a dear friend, David Rutt, who was an incredible creative soul. He brought a lot of life to our lives.
I light this candle for a friend who was also a fellow UU, James Willis, who died last December. Some may remember him that when we broke ground for this edition, he loaned us his termite, which is like a baby backhoe. He was very creative and active, and he's badly missed. And also for my brother-in-law who died last month. Some of you may recognize him as Sunflower Hill bread, which you could buy at Local Roots. And he has a wake from 3 to 7 this afternoon at Leroy's. So if you want to stop by and say hello and goodbye, that would be lovely.
I light this candle for my sister Janet, who died 9 years ago after having brain cancer for 9 years. And I still miss her, and I've brought a picture of her. This is my favorite picture of her. She made a Jell-O mold of a brain and cut a hole out of it the same size as the tumor that they cut out during surgery. And so you can see why I miss her so much, because she was really funny.
We light this candle in memory of our daughter-in-law, Rob's wife, who left us unexpectedly Valentine's Day night. She was a ray of sunshine. She dedicated her life to her family, and she taught severely handicapped children. And we miss her and we love her.
I light a candle for two wonderful men in my life. My cousin Randy, who was taken from us too soon by Alzheimer's. And every time I walk into this building, I think of the second man, and that's Lowell Steinbrenner. I do miss him.
This candle for our daughter, and thinking of our grandchildren also. We really love her. She was the love of our hearts. And we're thankful we had the time we did with her, wishing for more and memories.
a candle for Nancy Anderson. Nancy introduced Danny and I, and she thought we'd be a really good match. And Danny and I are 15 years different in age, and I didn't see it. So my life would have been very different had she not stepped in. They say that good people create one another. And she was a good person, and I think just about everybody that met her was better for it.
I light this candle for my cousin, Amanda Rich. She was in her 40s. She was a child life specialist at a hospital, and she would sit with the children who were scared of the x-ray machine. And she was so worried about them that she never wore her apron. And she got cancer and fought it for 3 years. She never got to have the children she wanted, but she got to be a blessing to so many. I light one more candle for all of those names unspoken, for all of those who have lost loved ones, and the burden is still hard to bear. And it's hard to speak the names out loud. Your love is just as deep. Their lives are just as valid. May we live on. May they live on through us. May their light guide our way. Our closing hymn may feel a little counterproductive because it's a dance and it's somewhat of a joyful song. But how can we not look at the lives we honor and feel the joy that they have brought us and see that circle of life? Friends, I encourage you now to rise in body or spirit as we sing our closing song, Let It Be a Dance. So that been by two. Did we miss a verse in the slides? And you all got it anyways? So that's my mistake. I was the one who put the verses in for that. Were they up there? Do I just not in a right place right now? Have I not had enough coffee? Is that what happened? I apologize for that. I thought you guys were really on the ball with that hymn. Before our benediction, I do want to remind everybody once again that this Wednesday at 7 o'clock, we're going to be having a special meditative service for those of you who are holding a little anxiety over the election and the possibility that the results may not be in yet. It is a space, it's non-political, it's supportive. And I hope that if you are in need of that space, that you join us Wednesday evening. Our benediction comes from Peter Thompson and is part of his letter to a dying friend. It matters to have trodden the earth proudly, not arrogantly, but on feet that aren't afraid to stand their ground and move quickly when the need arises. It matters that your eyes have been on the object always, aware of its drift, but not caught up in it. It matters that we were young together, that you never lost the instincts and intuitions of a pioneer. It matters that you have been brave when retreat would have been easier. It matters that in many places and at many times you have made a difference. Your laugh mattered. Your love has mattered. Above all, it matters that you have been loved. Nothing else matters. May it be so.